Tanse na tute magtiar wheatly nisigasun opasquac uchanina. Tawau, welcome to APTN National News. A Mi'kmaq family is calling for justice for their loved one who was fatally shot by Nova Scotia RCMP. Here's Angel Moore with the details.
About 100 people braved the blowing snow as they walked about 1.5 kilometers in the Sipekne'katik First Nation from the Cultural Center to the Fisheries Building. They are demanding justice for Darrell, Leo, Thomas, Augustine. Before the walk, people gathered inside the Cultural Center where the family spoke, including Rose Paul, who is Darrell's aunt.
And this is a sign of how we're taking grief into action and prevention, that we don't lose any more Ilnu to police violence that escalates to shootings.
Darrell was 37 years old, a father of 3 children. He loved fishing and basketball and was known for his kind heart and big smile. Angelina is Darrell's daughter. She is 11 years old, and she shares a memory.
Yeah, he would try to rap and sing, but he couldn't, but don't tell him that.
According to RCMP, on the morning of January 13th, police received a call about an adult male with a firearm threatening people at a home in the Sipekne'katik First Nation. Augustine fled in a blue Honda Civic at high speed. RCMP used a spike belt to deflate the wheels of the car, and it came to a stop. Multiple shots were fired by officers, and Augustine was pronounced deceased at the scene. Travis is Darrell's brother. He says too many Indigenous people die by police.
It's just crazy, you know what I mean? Like, just because he's got what, brown skin, like.
Paul agrees and says more cultural awareness is needed in policing.
And I really believe it was systematic racism. And I'm not scared to say it.
Paul says Darrell struggled with his mental health after his fiancée, who is the mother of his children, passed away last fall.
He was a good dad, he was a good kid, he was a good son, good brother. Just going through a heck of a hard time, losing his fiancée, and he had a lot of trauma.
Angie Augustine says her brother Darrell should still be alive.
Police are supposed to be here to protect us, and they didn't protect him. He just needed help.
Yep.
And I told his daughter that morning, like, your dad's gonna go away and get help, but they just shot him up.
Kanisha Levi is Darrell's cousin. She says the family do not know the full details that led to Darrell's death.
The police didn't say nothing, and we're sick of being silent, and we want answers for the kids.
Angie says although it is difficult, the family will not rest until the truth is revealed.
And we're finding out like new things over and over again. It's kind of hard. It's like living these last bit of life over and over again. It's really traumatic. Like, it's hard to see your brother on a t-shirt. We didn't think we were going to lose him so young.
The Nova Scotia Police Watchdog, the Serious Incident Response Team, CERT, is investigating, but Paul is not confident about the investigation.
I found out that this organization that's made up of ex-RCMP officers, ex-judges, all non-Indigenous people overseeing this, like overseeing their own kind of thing. Felt very uncomfortable. And we've got to trust them to make that decision.
As the family waits for CERT's report, Paul says to honor Darrell's memory, the family will fight for changes in policing, including mental health de-escalation and Indigenous oversight into police investigations.
If it takes the last breath out of me to get this done for him and make precedents to all of Indigenous people that don't have to face this police violence, you should feel safe. There's no safety right now. There's no safety net with the RCMP. Everybody's scared. And gotta change that.
According to a federal government website, Indigenous people are 10 times more likely to be killed by police than non-Indigenous people. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Sabaganagati, First Nation.
Kinanaskamatin Angel. Community members in Minneapolis are continuing to resist against the presence of immigration and customs enforcement agents, better known as ICE. Now Savannah Craig introduces us to a Karuk tribal member responding to community needs.
Whistles have been heard across Minneapolis for months. The sound signifies the presence of ICE agents.
Almost everyone has whistles in Minnesota now. And if they don't, there's people like me trying to push out more whistles.
Jerica Fountain is putting together whistles in packages she calls safety kits.
You write your name, where you live, and emergency contact. And so this is if they come up, try to abduct you, you don't really have enough time to explain, you don't have enough time to say your name.
You way off federal property now, boys.
Safety kits are used to help civilians in the Twin Cities prepare for an arrest by ICE. They include a Know Your Rights pamphlet and a contact card.
You can grab this out of your pocket, throw it onto the ground, and whoever is around to witness, they will be able to pick it up and contact your family.
ICE out. It's a common phrase you can hear at protests or see in the streets of Minneapolis. Now Fountain is using this slogan in her art.
Every single one of us could be the next one murdered by ICE.
Fountain is from the Karuk Tribe in Northern California. Now living in Minneapolis, her art documents ICE's operations in the Twin Cities.
If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace.
My art comes from community need, and community impact.
Why'd you hit him? No!
Across the country, Native Americans and other U.S. citizens are being detained by ICE.
All the tactics they're using, all have been done on Indigenous people, especially here in Minnesota.
Fountain says this is a repetition of the state taking Native Americans from their families.
From the Starlight Tours to withholding food rations or threatening to withhold food rations assistance. This is wrong, this is not okay, and we need to end this.
Part of Fountain's resistance is through her art and preparing safety kits.
I just never really thought of it that way until so many people were like, no, your art is a form of resistance. It's historical, and that's where it kind of like grew into me to realize it is a form of resistance.
Fountain's safety kits and art can be seen in cafes in Minneapolis and St. Paul, including the Ojibwe-owned Magua Cafe. Savannah Craig, APTN National News, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
And it's time for a quick break. BRB, Chesqua. Come on in, Beat de Guerre. A few hundred people celebrated a Second World War veteran's 100th birthday this week in Alderville First Nation. Annette Francis was there and shares some of the highlights.
A large crowd gathers outside the community centre at Alderville First Nation in southern Ontario, waiting for this, the flyover of an AC-130 Hercules from the Trenton Air Force Base in recognition of military service. It was a grand way to kick off the birthday celebration of Don Smoke.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, boy. A little bit of heaven up there.
In 1943, at just 17, Smoke joined a Canadian artillery regiment in Petawawa, Ontario. He trained as a 9-mile sniper, named after a cannon with a 9-mile range. He went overseas in May 1945. When he was on the ship, victory in Europe was declared, and he went on to serve a few more years in Europe. Master Warrant Officer Robert Brown says Smoke is one of the remaining few World War II veterans left. That's why a small contingent came to join the celebration.
I'm here on behalf of the Canadian Armed Forces as the Indigenous Advisor to the Commander of the Canadian Army, Lieutenant General Mike Wright, and so we're here today to bring congratulatory remarks on behalf of the Commander to Mr. Don Smoke and to his family for obviously his time of service with the, as the last living veteran of Alderville First Nation, And so we're honored to be here to present that to Mr. Smoke and his family.
Over 200 people joined the party that went on throughout the afternoon and evening. There was food, drumming, and dignitaries from across the region. Another special and emotional highlight was the presentation of an Ogichida Miigwes, a warrior's feather by Anishinaabe Nation Grand Council Chief Linda DeBossige and Deputy Grand Council Chief Chris Plain. For some, it brought tears. Granddaughters Jillian Pashagumshgum and Lindsay Smoke helped organize the celebration. They were amazed at the turnout.
We knew to anticipate a lot of people from everywhere, but seeing the amount of people that got here right at 2 o'clock and the crowd that just keeps rolling in, it's been something else. And I think that seeing my grandpa's twinkle in his eye keep lighting up throughout this entire day is something, and I can't wait to kind of sit with him. Probably not tonight, we're all probably going to be pretty tired, but tomorrow and visit him. and visit, And visit officially.
Smoke kept his wit and stamina over the 5-hour event as he humbly shook hands with guests.
I don't get too excited, but today is a little bit different. A little bit different today. Boy, I really appreciate that. I don't know who put this all together, but it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's good to see all these people. I know most of them, too. Yeah, it's wonderful.
His 100th birthday is something Don Smoke won't soon forget. Anna Francis, APTN National News, Boulderville, First Nation.
Minnow Tipiska, happy birthday. And here's Fraser Needham now to tell us what's ahead on Nation to Nation.
Coming up after the evening news, residents of the Sichuan First Nation in Northern Ontario have been without safe drinking water for 2 months. Anishinaabe Nation Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler is here to talk about the situation. With Parliament back in session, Conservatives have been pushing the government on First Nations water legislation and more. We talked to Conservative MP Jamie Schmale about this and other pressing Indigenous issues. And Tanil Johnson is the first Indigenous person to seek the leadership of the federal NDP. She's here to talk about her campaign. All this on tonight's episode of Nation to Nation.
Tapwege Fraser, the 2025 Manitoba wildfires had a devastating impact on many communities, but what happens after the smoke clears? This week on an all-new episode of APTN Investigates, Tamara Pimentel travels to the small northern town of Leaf Rapids to assess the damage. With infrastructure needs at an all-time high, community members are left sifting through the ashes. Here's a preview.
For years, the residents of Leaf Rapids have been calling for change. And you can see why. Driving down the quiet streets, it seems most homes are uninhabitable. Some vandalized, some completely burned down, either from arson or wildfires. The effects of a failed economy and diminishing services has put a strain on this small community. But for nearly 300 people, it's still home.
I grew up here. I've been here since 2003. And I've seen how much has disappeared as I've grown.
Most of Irvin Biggety's family moved away. When a wildfire stormed the town of Leaf Rapids last summer, it was a blow to an already crumbling community. The house his mother lived in became condemned.
Oh yeah, this door's open. Yeah, you'll see some of the condition of my mom's house. When she got home, inside, the room was covered in mold and the ceiling caved in. It always happens though, this is, my mom says, she's used to it. She's used to us losing stuff. It's what's been happening for years to us. We always lose our stuff.
You can catch APTN Investigates Ashes to Ashes this Saturday on APTN. And Drew Hayden Taylor joins us in studio right after this quick break. Cheska. Wow, welcome back. Starting on the East Coast, Charlottetown 1, Halifax 3. Over to Happy Valley Goose Bay, -1, Nain, -11. Down to Quebec City, -4. Val d'Or, -17. North Bay, -12. Sault Ste. Marie, -8. Up to Big Trout Lake, -26. Sioux Lookout, -13. Over to Puckatawagan, -18. Norway House, -17. Down to Brandon, -5. Gimli, -11. Over to Swift Current 2, North Battleford 0. And up in Stony Rapids, -26. Buffalo Narrows, -11. Moving west, High Level, -20. Peace River, -12. Edmonton 1, Calgary also 1. Moving to Kamloops, 5 degrees. Penticton 6. Dease Lake, -13. Smithers 2. Up to Rock River, -26. Mayo, -23. Wati, -37. Norman Wells, -31. Up to Sats Harbor, -37. Colville Lake, -44. Cambridge Bay, -42. Baker Lake, -40. Over to Arctic Bay, -34. And Igloo Lake, -38. Drew Hayden Taylor's new play, The Undeniable Accusations of Red Cadmium Light, is premiering at the Prairie Theatre Exchange in Winnipeg, running from February 25th to March 8th, rather. The show follows a woman who specializes in Norval Morrisseau's counterfeits, her daughter, and a reporter who's digging into knockoff Indigenous arts. Thanks for joining us in studio today, Drew. Let's start with your latest play, The Undeniable Accusations of Red Cadmium Light, and how Norval Morrisseau came to inspire you.
Well, yes, I was actually, if you can believe it or not, I was at a cocktail party for the Kleinberg Museum, and I met a gentleman there who runs an organization that authenticates Morrisseau's, and we were having just an interesting conversation, and then when I left, the idea, all of this was bouncing around in my head, and it took a little while for it to sort of settle and coalesce, but I came away with a really interesting idea for a play that I then sat down and wrote a few months later once I had figured everything out. And it was one of these stories that was just waiting there to be told.
Mm-hmm. And I guess, could you talk us through your writing process for this particular show? I know you had kind of started there.
Yeah, well, yes, it started with a conversation. I mean, this issue has been in the news for a number of years, and there's been family issues, there have been lawsuits. It's been a very complex issue, and it sort of inspired me to take the story, and use it as a launching pad to look at other aspects of, I guess, authenticity, how you judge a Morrisseau authentic or forgery, and sort of how that can reflect different aspects of the Indigenous community, and how this woman who is the foremost expert on Morrisseau, it comes into her life and affects her relationship with her daughter. And I don't want to go into too much because there's a couple of interesting revelations that happens during the play that I don't want to give away.
And I don't know if I'm giving it away here too, but you were talking about news. There's a reporter involved in this, and
yes,
that sort of stuff.
It all goes back to, it starts with a reporter coming to do an interview on this woman. As I said, she's the foremost authority on Morrisseau forgeries, and they get talking, and the more they talk, sort of the light and the conversation and the focus shifts. And it turns into actually the play, while it starts out about the whole Morrisseau forgery issue, it turns into a discussion between the mother and daughter, and a re-examining of their relationship, and how they adjust to each other.
Yeah, that definitely sounds interesting. I guess, as one of Canada's leading Indigenous playwrights, what feelings do you get, as you debut new world premieres like this one?
Oh, it's a great feeling. 2 weeks ago, I had a new play open in Thunder Bay called On Thin Ice, and I've got this play happening. I've always viewed it as just the next logical progression of oral storytelling, going from telling stories around the campfire to telling stories on the stage. We are a storytelling culture, and people and civilizations evolve, and so does storytelling. So storytelling started around the campfire, around the kitchen table, and it has expanded to include, over the centuries, theater, print, radio, television, movies, and even today, a lot of video games have deep and intricate narratives woven into them. So I just see myself as a contemporary storyteller, taking the background I was raised with, the storytelling I was raised with, and giving it new horizons to conquer.
Absolutely, and this is in the fire, but we're around a desk here definitely sharing these stories right now. I guess, are there any key takeaways that you hope the audience will get from this show?
I want people to, I mean, it's every playwright wants this, but when they walk out, I want people to be thinking. I want people to be murmuring as they're coming down the aisles, as they're going down the elevator, as they're getting into their cars, talking about some of the stuff I presented for public digestion, and seeing what people have to say about sort of the stuff I've shown them, and what they think has happened, what do they think is important, and what would they do in that situation.
Mm-hmm. It's really, I guess, taking back our culture in some ways too, hey?
Always.
I guess, what are you most excited to see, the actors bring to life from this play?
Well, writing a play is a pretty solitary existence. It's me in a room with my computer and 2 stuffed animals. That's my universe when I'm writing. And when I'm coming out in this particular situation, we have a director, we have a set designer, we have a costume designer, we have the performers, all coming in with their take on what I have written. And that's always exciting. I'm curious to see what they've done with with my concept, my imagination, where they've taken it, and how it has affected them and appealed to them. So that's the fun of theater, because it starts off as an individual effort, but then it becomes a community effort.
And then people kind of play on those words and make it more than you imagine, I guess, in that way.
Frequently, there'll be a line in there that is either funny, that I didn't know was funny, or has a sense of tragedy or of emotion that I had not expected. So yeah, it's always interesting to see what each person brings to the role. And then, of course, with other productions down the road, you sit there and you look at how other people are stirring the pot.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess, is there any sneak peeks as to what's next for you, Mr. Hayden Taylor?
Yes, actually a lot is happening. My 37th book, a play, will be coming out in July. It's the play that just opened a couple weeks ago called On Thin Ice. And then in October, my new novel is coming out. I think that's my 37th or 38th book, called Sucker Falls. And I'm also hopefully working on my last novel, Cold, has been optioned for a television series, so we're waiting to see about that. And I'm hoping to be doing a documentary on Indigenous humor.
Nice. Sounds very exciting, and I need to get some tips from you, because sometimes I struggle with my writing and my stories. Just thank you for your time today.
My pleasure.
And that's your Daytime Newscast for this Thursday. I'm T.R. Wheatley. It's been a pleasure to be here with you. I'll be back again at 6 p.m. Eastern. Until then, from all of us at APTN to all of you, agase, gitam, kinanaskamitinawa.